Well, there were plenty of august matters of state this week. Venezuela on the brink of civil war. Two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan, on the brink of nuclear war. That was a fear. The president met with the dictator of North Korea. That is our second longest war. The Democrats have also been complaining a lot about the economy, too. But socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and several Democrat colleagues now facing questions over why they ditched and bailed out on a hearing with the Federal Reserve chair so they could instead go head-to-head with Michael Cohen. Let's bring in a contributor for The Hill magazine, Kristin Tate. Great to see you, Kristin. What's your take on this?
Great to be with you. Well, I'm not surprised at all that Ocasio-Cortez and some of the other Democrats ditched the Powell hearing for the Cohen hearing. I mean, AOC and the others knew that the Cohen hearing would get insane media coverage, and she and others wanted the opportunity to try to make Trump look bad on every cable network in America. For many Democrats, yesterday was just about the media spotlight and trying to, do as much political damage to Trump as possible. But I thought it was kind of funny because meanwhile, during Powell's testimony, he really destroyed this progressive idea that you can just print unlimited money to fund social programs like the Green New Deal, free college, and Medicare for all. His comments really underlined this idea that AOC, although she may have good intentions, is kind of naive when it comes to fiscal policy.
But isn't that a portrait in miniature of the problem, that Democrats don't want to hear the facts? Sometimes, often Republicans don't want to hear the facts, too. But they clearly didn't want to hear the facts to the point they didn't go to the hearing with Powell. The critics are saying, Kristin, to your point, that all of a sudden Michael Cohen suddenly has a conscience. Why did that conscience go into hibernation for a decade when he was working for Trump? He also claimed, Cohen, that he cares about civility. The critics are saying, hey, he threatened journalists, quote, he said to one journalist, quote, tread very effing lightly. What I'm going to do to you is going to be effing disgusting. And now this breaking story. Kristin, Jim Jordan and other Republicans are referring a potential perjury charge to the Justice Department. Michael Cohen, apparently, they're saying, did not testify truthfully when he was asked repeatedly, did you want to work in the White House for Trump? He kept saying no. Your take on that?
Well, look, I would not be surprised if Cohen lied. This is a man who probably can't be trusted. But really, Liz, even if everything he said yesterday was truthful, his testimony really yielded very little information with regards to any misconduct by Trump or the 2016 campaign. In fact, a lot of the testimony actually hurt the case against Trump. Of course, Cohen said there was no evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. He said Trump never directly told him to lie to Congress. I will say that the case against Trump with potential campaign finance violations might have gotten a little stronger yesterday, but still, it's a shaky case. A lot of questions still need to be answered. So for people who are buying into this narrative that Trump is some kind of co-conspirator with Putin, they were probably pretty disappointed after yesterday.
There was political damage done to the president, over allegations that he's continuously inflated his assets. That looked very bad for the president, analysts are saying. Here's the thing about Cortez. She never asked Michael Cohen, where's your documentary evidence, the checks, the recordings, the bank records, the phone records? Instead, she does want to go after Trump's tax returns. We know that. They want to put Trump into impeachment so he doesn't get reelected in 2020. Listen to what Dan Henniger of the Wall Street Journal had to say about this.
It's all about publicity and FaceTime and getting your message out, which she sat there reading from a Washington Post news story about Trump and Cohen and just asking him if he agreed with it, and he said yes. And that was her contribution.
So basically she used as a template a Washington Post story. That's what Dan Henniger is accusing her of doing.
Yeah, exactly right. I was really disappointed yesterday because the questions at some point moved from Stormy Daniels and collusion to personal questions about Trump and his business dealings. Cohen was asked whether or not Trump had ever paid for abortions, if he had ever struck First Lady Melania Trump. AOC was asking about his business holdings. These questions had nothing to do with government oversight. What we saw yesterday was basically a committee that is no longer interested in clean and efficient government, but has transformed into basically a Democratic operative corporation. It was really sickening.
These alleged activities predated his election, correct? Many of them.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Absent the FEC potential violation of the Stormy Daniels payment. I mean, it was predated his winning the election. right?
That's exactly right. And a lot of people are aware of that. Ultimately, I don't think yesterday moved the needle much. People who hate Trump still hate him. People who love Trump still love him.
We'll have you back on, Kristin Tate, to talk more about this. I want to thank you for coming on.